Yandy Diaz just keeps raking and somehow still feels like one of the best bargains in the league.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we are Kevin and Ulises.
We are lifelong Rays fans who've been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
On today's show, we'll discuss the surprising impact of Tristan Gray. In a few minutes, we'll discuss the Rays' plans to have sponsorship patches on their jerseys and what that could mean for the team's payroll going forward. But first, we must get into Yandy Diaz and him continuing to prove his worth and value.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Yandy Diaz keeps showing his bargain for the value that he provides the Rays. Kevin, let's just go over what he has been doing the last month of play. In the last 30 games, he's hit .325 with a slug of .496. The last 15 games, he's hitting .386 with a .579 slug. And in the last 7 games, he's hitting .370 with a .414 on base and a .407 slug. It's just a logical thing now to expect Yandy Diaz to just be a run producer, a guy you want in your lineup. And this has been true since 2019. It's still true in 2025. And I don't see why anybody would bet against Yandy Diaz when he just keeps showing up with no real decline.
Yeah, and I think maybe we get a little bit jaded at the beginning of the season because that seems to be a little bit of the calling card with Yandy is the slow starts for one reason or another. Maybe it takes him a little bit to warm up and find his groove, or he's trying to do something different. And then as the season gets going, he heats up. And clearly by the numbers you listed, he has been heating up tremendously. And he really has a great shot to set a career best in home runs for a season. The most he had previously, well, it was 22 back in 2023. We remember that remarkable season where he ultimately hit 330 and had 22 home runs. So I am banking on it. There are enough games left in the season where he can get dinger number 23, which I think is something we should probably appreciate a little bit more. I think, and fairly so, we focus our attention on Junior Caminero and Brandon Lau and the home runs that they're putting forth. But let's remember, back in 2019, when the Rays acquired Yandy Diaz, he had no pop whatsoever. I mean, he could hit the ball hard and make good contact, but the launch angle was not impressive at all. It was ground ball city. And the Rays were luckily able to work with him and shift his focus to lifting the ball a little bit more while still maintaining that approach of when you have a chance, just pop the ball to right field, pop the ball the other way for a base hit. And he is continuing to show his value in his worth. I mean, on the open market, he could probably command $15-16 million a season, depending on how long the length of the contract is. And the Rays got him boarded up for what, $8 to $10 million this season, plus the option in 2026.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to get too far ahead because I do want to make a point on his contract next segment, people. But this is kind of an ode to Yandy because when you look at the season he's having, by the way, he's hitting .290, the .348 on base, the .468 slug, an .816 OPS. Like you said, a career high tied for home runs in 22. And this is something that I thought was pretty cool. Yes, the walks have gone down this year. In comparison to his career, the walk percentage is the lowest ever. And some might say, the walks going down. Maybe he's losing some plate discipline. I think not, folks. I think what he has done said, okay, I'm going to be just a little bit more aggressive. And aggressive in the way that Yandy Diaz is does not mean more strikeouts because you look at the strikeout rate, it actually lowered from last year. So I think what Yandy has effectively done has been trading some walks, which we all love our walks, but started to swing a little bit more to some balls that now he can drive for power, and he's really been loving that right porch in Steinbrenner's field. So I think it's great. And plus, I just want to say to Yandy, because Kevin, he's got 96 home runs for the race. That's ninth all time. That's ninth all time. Like, and I was getting into it with some people the other day, like with Randy Arozarena being in the record books. It's like Randy's all over the place. But now look at Yandy.
Yes.
Yandy, third all time in batting average, second all time in on base, fifth in OPS, sixth in hits in total bases, fifth in walks. Yandy Diaz has been great, and I don't think there's any reason why anybody would bet against them except to say, old people break down. He's 34. He's not ancient. I think.
And the Rays are doing a good job of balancing the DH versus first base. He's played mostly DH. Don't want to say played, but he's mostly been a DH this year, and he's played like 33 games at first base, which I think is a good mix of, you get him some action in the field without totally wearing him down, and you hopefully are able to utilize him and give somebody else rest in the DH spot. But to your point with Yandy, like, he's been relatively healthy year in, year out. How many Rays players can you count on one hand or two hands that say, hey, I'm going to deliver you 135 to 140 games?
Right.
You can't say that about Brandon Lau.
No.
Really, in the last several years, you could only say that about Randy. And Yandy has been one of those guys. He might have one IL stint or a nick here, a bruise here, but for the most part, he is as available as they come in this day and age in baseball. And if he plays in 2026 with the Rays, which I'm sure we'll be focusing on a little bit in the next segment with the tie-in on jersey patch sponsorships, he might make a case for a Rays Hall of Fame entrance if he's littered all over the record books or
No
the
doubt
career
about
list so far.
No doubt about it. And to add to more of those accomplishments that we listed, to your point, games played, people, he's number 6 all time for games played, 801. I mean, he is sniffing that number 5 that's held by Kevin Kiermaier at 914. Like, one more season gets him there, people. So very cool that Yandy keeps doing his thing. He's having a tremendous season. And from squeezing more value out of a contract, a new influx of money is coming through jersey patches that we'll talk about next. The NFL season is almost here. Kevin is psyched, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. That's $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Sounds like a pretty good deal, people. And what makes FanDuel amazing is that it's quick, easy, and it's the best way to add a little green Skittles on your Sunday that you don't know where to put them. Well, you can use FanDuel for that. You got same game parlays, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Well, you've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. So see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription, and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB.
Thank you for listening to Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. People, more money is coming. It better be, because this jersey patch should be a tangible change in the payroll. Or else why do it? I'll tell you why.
So the owners can get more money in their pockets and not spend it on the team?
All right, well, segment over. No, let's really, as a fan...
Oh, wait, Stu won't be owning the team. So
Stu won't. Zalupski is a different man. He's a different type of billionaire, Kev.
Well,
They're
I
different
don't
types
know.
of billionaires.
It remains to be seen. That's all I'm saying.
But we want to hope. Look, this jersey patch money should be tangible change in the payroll. And I'll tell you why. Because when you look at the jersey patches, I'm not asking for the Rays to be the Yankees, who, by the way, rank number one.
Not surprising.
Right. $25 million a year from their jersey patch. That's not, the Rays are not going to sniff that. I think the Red Sox are around 17 or 18 mil. That's the top end. The average is $7 to $8 million a year. That might not seem like a lot of money to 22 clubs, 22, 23 clubs. Yeah. But for the Rays, 7 to 8 mil is nice. That can get you a real nice free agent that we would talk about on this podcast in the offseason for a good 2 weeks, people. That would be real nice, right? I'm going to give you guys some napkin math. Join me on this one. Kim is no longer an option now that he's gone for 2026. That was $16 million that they don't have to worry about anymore.
Which, if we're being honest, addition by subtraction.
There we go. Imagine tomorrow, next year, he just goes bleeping off with the Braves.
Well, I'm actually fully expecting that with the Braves.
Okay. Yeah.
Based on the Braves' luck with former Rays players, Charlie Morton, Travis d'Arnaud, I fully expect Kim to get back on track. But for whatever reason, I have the mindset that he would get hurt time and time again with the Rays, but go on and have success with the Braves. That's just how my brain is working at this time of the hour.
That's fine. That's completely fine and completely understandable. Napkin math. Back on the train. $16 million. They don't have to worry about that in 2026 with this player option. Let's say the Rays are not even raking in the average of $7 to $8 million. They're not there. Let's say they make $5 million on the jersey patch. $5 million. Stay with me, people. Yeah. 16 plus 5. 21. That's a great number. $21 million. That would be literally Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz's contracts for 2026, almost 100% paid with those two things. That's what I'm talking about. Tangible change in the payroll. We have to see some sort of, maybe they would have traded XYZ player, but now with this income coming in, which shouldn't be a lot, but for the Rays, you've got Brandon Lau for 10.5, 11 mil. Same thing with Yandy Diaz. You have those two guys locked up for 2026 if you just take these two simple figures, Kev.
Yeah, it's interesting why it's taken so long for the Rays to get on the jersey patch bandwagon, because it's going on throughout really all sports, not just baseball. But if we're just focusing on baseball, I think the Rays are one of the last teams to be getting ready to implement it. And I don't know if it's because conspiracy theory here, but a company that is going to fork up the money for that has the expectation that, hey, we're giving you this type of money. Obviously, we want exposure for our own company, but we're also supporters of the Rays, and we hope that you use that for on the field enhancements and not necessarily for your own pocket. So that's just a little aside, but there really isn't any excuse with the Kim situation and the jersey patch situation. And I would think, I don't want to say excitement, but maybe people, budding back into the Trop and new ownership group and plans for a new stadium on the 4, and you have a lot of young talent. You can build a marketing campaign for Junior Caminero. With all that in mind, there should be no reason why the Rays can't afford to keep Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz and supplement that with a veteran bat and a veteran reliever or two. Whatever you have to do to fill out the roster to be competitive for 2026. And I know, I'm sure there's people complaining about the jersey patch and it looks tacky. I get it. I understand it, but you got to do what you got to do to get that extra money. I mean, why do you see on every outfield in baseball, there's a million different sponsors there. And on the mound, there's even sponsors stenciled out there. You got to do what you got to do to bring in the money to support a Major League Baseball team and hopefully use that for on the field improvements. And, it should be a little bit exciting to see these types of deals in the works with a new ownership group coming on board, because maybe they're more equipped to work out these types of creative arrangements and deals, not just with the patch, but other partnerships and marketing campaigns that ultimately you can utilize to enhance your team going forward.
Well, they are billionaires, so they also have their own network of really rich friends. So yes. And rich friends that not just like work at the local bar. It's rich friends that own like multi-billion-dollar companies. So with this new network, you would think, okay, these are new sponsor options that could potentially happen with Zalupski and the new group coming in. I understand that the Trop is not a new stadium, but 2026 should be treated like, hey, come back to the Trop. Let's bring it back. And
the Trop resurrection.
and you can't do that. And if you say, come watch Junior Caminero and a bunch of young guys that you don't really know a lot yet, but they could be good or they couldn't be good. Like, you can't do that. You have to do Junior Caminero and Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau. And what we're saying is that jersey patch should be a tangible bleeping circle that you say, oh, that's where that money went. Those $5 million kept Yandy, kept Brandon Lau together. Because guess what? If you want to have a Junior Caminero show in 2026, he can't be alone in the lineup. And and just like we said in segment one, you can't have a lot of power and value like Yandy Diaz for such a low price.
Yeah. I'm calling it right now. Dex Imaging. That's the jersey patch sponsor.
That's your choice.
That's my guess.
Okay, I got another one actually.
Who is it?
Spectrum.
Okay. Put it in the comments who you think it is. Who you think it will be.
Nobody better say Louisiana hot sauce, because I refrain from doing that myself.
Yeah. And I hope, I'm not saying this would be, look, we know how the Rays media coverage is, but it would be nice to see what the final figures are. How much is this deal worth AAV? Please. Is it 5 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 8 million? Give me a number so we can kind of look at the roster and see where those changes are being made or where that money is being allocated. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. And look, I know Topkin, Romano, like they've got a lot of things to do, but just like, would you please do this investigative work? Because it would be nice to look at the payroll in 2026 and go like, oh, it was 5 mil. Okay, I can see it. They wouldn't have done this move if the jersey patch.
My Rays tax dollars are going to this 8th inning reliever.
But somebody's going to say in the comments, well, if the government doesn't do that, why would the Rays do that? And you know what? You're 100% right, people. And take all your government questions to Kevin Weiss, because he loves those questions every day.
There we go. I love it. Absolutely. Speaking of cash and getting more cash, how about more playing time? Let's talk about Tristan Gray's great but surprising recent play.
There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, and you got to go see your Rays, and you got to use Gametime. Why? Well, because it's actually fun to get tickets using Gametime. You know why? Because there's no surprise fees. That's my favorite part about Gametime. you don't just get stuck with all these fees at the end of the line that you didn't think that you would get. Okay, it's the price you see. That's the price that you pay. So take advantage and download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today.
Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We wanted to give a little bit of a love and a shout out to Tristan Gray for the hot start that he's been on since being called up to the Rays. In 41 at-bats in 17 games this season, he has 3 homers, 2 doubles, and an OPS of 801. Meanwhile, playing multiple positions with the good guys, first base, second base, shortstop, and he's 29 years old. Those are the types of stories we love. A guy who has, been withering in the minors, trying to get that opportunity, get that chance, being labeled a quad A player. Will he ever get that shot? And right now he's making the most of it, and he's doing it in pretty fun, exciting, and impressive fashion. We've seen the bat flip, for example, and I don't know, just when he hits the ball and he finishes on the follow through, he really means it. And we've seen some of that evident in what he's showcased with his bat this year. Is he a long-term answer for the Rays? I don't know. But it's fun to enjoy this for the month of September and the rest of the season to see what he can do. And maybe the Rays can carve out a spot for him. Most likely they'll probably have to go in another direction, but it's not the first time we've seen a late bloomer have an impact and have some staying power.
And you can't say, oh, well, that never happens if you're a Rays fan. Hello, Joey Wendell, people. You will have that.
Hello, Jake Mangum.
Cool. Jake Mangum this year. Exactly. Very good. So Tristan Gray, dude, bat flip city. That was pretty cool. That last one he did with the Chicago White Sox on Tuesday evening, that was really awesome. He's versatile. The dude was drafted in 2017. COVID wasn't even a thing on our radar, and this guy was drafted.
AI didn't exist in 2017.
It's been a minute since this guy, got his, start to his dream, essentially, of playing professional ball. And it's been here and there opportunities. Look, you are in the White Sox system in AAA at 29 years old. The optimism, I don't think, is probably that high up. Mm-hmm. And suddenly you get this opportunity with a team that's not having a great season, but boy, oh boy, is it better than the White Sox. Yeah. And you're getting some playing time. I mean, like you said, couple games at first, 8 games at second base, 6 at shortstop. I haven't disliked what I've seen with the glove. His glove seems solid. And the fact that you're a versatile player, that's always a plus for the Rays. And if he keeps going this route, I do agree with you. I don't think there is anything right now he can do to become part of the Rays 2026 plans for the 26-man roster.
Right.
Could he be an option to be somebody that they can count on as a minor leaguer, and then, we need somebody? Boom.
Right.
Cool. But what I want is for him to keep breaking this season so that he might actually up his value just a tiny bit, because, again, 29 years old, you're not going to have that much value anymore. But all the things that he does really well, versatile, if it can hit the ball as well as he's doing, that could amp up a little bit more of his asset value, that the Rays could actually get something really nice that would not be Rule 5 eligible for a few years.
Yeah, trading back to the White Sox or some team that has a need for a player like him that is kind of rebuilding and just needs to fill a spot, and hopefully he can gain playing time that way. But it's really a perfect opportunity for him that he's making the most advantage of. He really can't do anything else than what he's doing on the field right now, between Kim getting DFA'd, Jonathan Aranda on the IL, and Taylor Walls having that season-ending injury. First base, second base, shortstop, we need a guy that can play all 3 positions. And if you hit, you hit. If you don't, we just need a I mean, quite frankly, a warm body there to fill us out through the season. And he's been all that and more. And these are the types of guys we like to root for. And he seems to be enjoying himself. It doesn't seem like he is getting eaten up by the pressure. I mean, maybe it'd be different if the Rays were in a true, legitimate, heatful playoff race, but they're a 500, slightly below 500 club. So, you know, and with the MO of the Rays this year, it's we're going to roll out the young guys and let them play and let them experience failure and hopefully learn from it.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Good for him.
Yes, good for him. All right. Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast. We appreciate it. We will be back on the show tomorrow. Stay tuned.